I've had a lot of comments of like, why did you do the MSD system? You already got a Holley. What do you need an MSD for? I'm gonna go ahead and show you real quick. So I pulled one of the plugs out. I pull the same plug out every time. Well, same couple plugs, the ones that are easy to get to. But just to check out how everything's going. But so here are two plugs. All right, they're the same number. This one's just what, a Autolite Racing. This is an Autolite. This is a regular Autolite. They're both 3923s. This plug was basically brand new when I stuck it in the car. I didn't really run it that much, and you could see how black it is, right? Even though our air fuel was pretty solid, it still doesn't look like it was burning very efficiently. And as you can see, this plug is way better. All right, the orange tint, that's just from the octanium fuel additive. But I mean, you look at these two plugs side by side, they are night and day, and they probably have about the same runtime on them. All that just from installing the ignition box. You could see right here on the ground strap, you can actually see the discoloration from where the, you know, this is the timing mark and all that stuff. Whereas on this one, we just weren't getting an adequate burn. The stock ignition system, even though that was a brand new distributor, brand new coil, brand new cap rotor, brand new wires, it just wasn't adequate for what we were doing. So that's why I installed that box. Now our ignition system is adequate. Now we gotta work on this fuel system. If you didn't see in the last video, the top of first gear, the fuel flow drops off or levels off, and then it kind of takes a second to spike back up. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that, which you guys have pointed out before, and I've known the whole time, is these fuel rails. So these are still the stock fuel rails. The reason why I'm not changing them is because I'm making a switch to E85. So instead of finding like some SN95 fuel rails or whatever, I'm just gonna get a solid set of fuel rails and then upgrade, you know, to a dash 10 and a dash 8 supply dash, or what was it? Yeah, we'll do dash 8 supply, dash 8 return, and then bigger injectors, and we'll go E85. But we're gonna have to end up changing these. Additionally, we're gonna be changing and getting rid of and throwing this On3 manual boost controller in the garbage. And we're finally gonna set it up to where the Holley's controlling boost entirely. People love to comment, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? How come you're doing this? How come you're doing that? It's just what I'm doing. And so instead of just rushing out and buying the best possible parts that I could find and throw them right on off the bat, I get more enjoyment out of seeing how far I can push the things that I'm given, and if they work, I just keep rolling with them. If they don't work, then I look for ways to make them better. And so that's kind of my method, right? If it comes in a kit, I'm gonna try it out. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna improve it. If it comes in a kit, it's maybe not the best, but hey, it works, I'm gonna use it. Also, yes, I know that the Holley Terminator X has a two-step. I don't know how many people have said it, commented. I must have read 30 comments. You know the Holley has a two-step. Yeah, I know. Go back a few videos. You'll see it not work for me. Anyway, guys, got the roll cage in the car, and by in the car, I mean I just threw all the piping in there. We're gonna take it down to get installed. It's getting done by a local shop out here. After I get it back, we'll go over all the details and stuff. But what I'm gonna do really quick is pull out that, you know, homemade firewall that I put for the rear of the car, since the fuel tank's back here. So, I mean, no sense of having them go through and yank this thing out anyway. I might as well do it, save them a little bit of time. So what I'm more than likely gonna have them do is probably put either something just, you know, maybe enclosed box over this, or maybe cut the floor out and just recess the fuel tank down in. Haven't decided yet, but for now we don't need this homemade junk anymore. Alright, that's out now. What I'm going to do, get the car out of the garage. Actually, I need to turn it around so the exhaust is facing out of the garage. But what I want to do now is actually try something out. I'm going to hook up the two-step from the Holley, and then I want to try out, I built a boost builder in the configuration file. We'll see if it works, and if it works, I'll show you guys how to set it up. So let's go ahead and hook up this two-step and see if the Holley one works now with the MSD providing us a better spark. Alright guys, so just to remind you of the wiring, still 12 volts, or excuse me, this is actually ground activated. Before it was 12 volt switch, so I had the 12 volt wire coming from the battery into this blue one. Now we got ground activated, so we're in one of the input wires, and then this just goes straight to our chassis ground. We'll go ahead and pin it in the Holley Terminator X, and we'll give it a shot and see if it works. So just to remind you guys on how to set up the rev limiter, you go to your little spark plug thing right here, your spark ICF. Rev limiters, enable rev limiter number 1. I'm going to do spark high only. Alright, so we got our little two-step button enabled. Pin map. What are we on? 2. Rev limiter. 2-step. Now let's go ahead. We'll connect back up and click send to ECU. Of course my computer would do that right now. Alright, we gotta cycle the key. Alright, we're gonna test our button. See the green 2-step comes on. When the engine's running, the rev limiter should work. I'm hoping it works now that we've upgraded this MSD ignition system. So. Man, I tried that Holley 2-step for the last time. When I'm on that 2-step, this thing pops and bangs and hits hard, and it was a little bit better with this box, MSD box, but as soon as I plug in the MSD one, works like $1 million. Works perfect. There's really no reason why the Holley one shouldn't work. I tried it in a couple different spots, and to be quite honest, I'm just done messing with it. I'm gonna roll the MSD one, and that's just going to be that, because it works better. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any of the comments say. That's what I'm rolling with. Well, guys, that thing decided to puke oil. Not just right here, but literally all the way down the road. And the culprit is this turbo drain line. I wanted to switch it to a -10 line. I didn't have any fittings for it. So I tried extra hard to get this clamp on as tight as I possibly could. I had it on super tight. I even tried to pull it off with my hand, it wouldn't come off. You know, double, triple, quadruple checked it because I know it's a pretty shady connection, and it blew off. Luckily it blew off here in the driveway. I mean, it sucks because I have to clean it up. I've already got all the oil up. I'm just gonna go get some stain remover to get the stain out of the rest of the driveway, because it's a shared driveway, and you know, I'm trying to stay on good terms with my neighbors. So I'm gonna clean that up. Like, man, luckily I was just driving it. Just driving it normal, you know, I was just doing some like cruise tuning, just, you know, bored tinkering around. If that happened at the top of the racetrack, I'd have crashed. The only reason I didn't change it to a -10 line is because the fittings that I have are -10 to -10. This looks like it's a -8 to -10, or well, it would be -10 because I would make it a bigger hose. But I didn't have those fittings, so I just made sure to tighten that clamp as much as possible, but obviously it didn't work, so I'm going to call on 3 and see what they recommend, or if they have, you know, some trick of the trade that they know how to keep these things tight. But that shouldn't be a cheap little, I don't get why it's such a tight fit. That clamp literally, like, it doesn't fit in there. I have to take one bolt out entirely just to get it in. It's just not It's not the right way. Quick fix for now, I got a heater hose repair kit which has these large, thinner hose clamps, and these were actually able to fit up between the turbo housing. So I was able to actually get a nice fit on there. And I mean, it's just a drain line, it's not under pressure, but it won't fall off. I yanked on that thing as hard as I possibly could, and it did not budge. So until the fitting, I ordered some fittings to turn this into a Dash 10 line. So until those come in, this will just do for now. But yeah, pretty disappointed that if you have the On3 kit, man, watch out for that. I don't know if it's just this turbo since the compressor housing is bigger than the exhaust side, but I don't know, there's just no room in there. A couple of other things we've got in for the car. This is a 4-port Mac valve, some push to connect fittings, that's a vent, and then this is the push connect pneumatic tubing. As you've seen or been following through this build, this On3 boost controller is just absolute trash. And I've always had the intention of going to let the Holly control the boost, but you know, I mean, I wanted to give it a shot, play with it. If it worked perfectly fine, I would have kept it, but this is just not. Neo Mustang said it right when I talked to him. He said, man, we open up those kits and just throw these right in the garbage. So now what this is going to do, I'm not going to install this in this video. Just came in, the car is actually, I just fixed the oil leak, filled back up with oil, and I'm going to throw it on the trailer to go get the cage put in. But basically, how this is going to work, so it's a 4-port, we'll go ahead and wire it in and then pin it. I'll show you guys how to do all this if you're curious. But pretty much what it's going to do is we're going to have the compressor side is going to come in to the Mac valve. This is going to be a vent, and then basically one side is going to go to the bottom of the wastegate, the other side is going to go to the top of the wastegate, and along with that on the top of the wastegate there'll be a dome pressure sensor. And pretty much what's going to happen is whatever boost that we're telling the computer to give it, this valve will control it. So when it's too low, this port will open and start putting pressure on top of the dome to raise the boost up. Once it gets to where we basically need it or want the boost, the valve will kind of start fluttering between fill and vent, and should keep us pretty much spot on whatever our boost target is. So pretty neat setup. You know, these guys have been running these for a long time now. There's plenty of videos out there and stuff on how to do it, but pretty excited to get this put in. Won't have to worry or mess with that stuff anymore. Changing our boost will just literally be me just making some clicks on a computer, and it'll give us what we want instead of whatever, who knows what that thing's going to give us. So after finishing cleaning, which we got most of it up, I've been using some oil stain remover. I think we just need some sun to beat on some of that and it'll come off. But the oil plugs, oil drain plugs, both of them on that pile of junk were leaking bad. So one store in this whole area had 2 drain plugs exactly. So I replaced both drain plugs, and luckily that thing stopped leaking oil. I don't know what it is with this car, but it just goes through these spats, man. It's like it's that time of the month for this thing where, you know, it's just doing what it does. Anyway, it's all loaded up, ready to go. We're about to go get the cage put in. Well, I'm gonna drop it off, the cage will be put in. Guy said it should only take 2 days. I'm assuming it'll be there all week. So while it's there, I'll start tinkering on that a little bit. You know, I got some small stuff that I can do. Hopefully that engine should be back soon. The guy told me last week he was gonna get to work on it. So we'll see how that's going. But, I mean, I didn't really film that much of the crazy, but that thing really blew my mind, how it just blew off that hose. And it was tight. I mean, it made it through a couple races. It just worked its way loose somehow. You know, it must have just not been hanging on that tight, as I thought it was. But I gave that a solid yank after I installed it last time, and that didn't move. So the smaller clamp seems to be okay. I pulled on that thing real hard. I'm not a weak guy. I pulled on it pretty hard, and I'm pretty sure, you know, I might have even stretched the hose out. That's how hard I pulled on it. And it didn't budge. So retightened it after that. Hopefully that should be good. But like I said, we're going to go to a Dash 10 line to prevent that. If you got this kit, I just recommend right off the bat, just order some of those. I think it's a Dash 8 O-ring fitting to a dash 10 flare fitting. Probably get dash 8 and dash 6. When I do it, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. I'm a little tired, a little worn out, so we'll see you on the next one.